So good morning, Ms. Anderson. Thank you so much for joining us on Inside Israel. We're here at the 2019 National Prayer Breakfast, and we appreciate your time. I just wanted to get your thoughts on this event and the role of prayer here in Ottawa.
Well, thanks, Robert. Thanks for inviting me to speak with you. Obviously, the National Prayer Breakfast is an important event in Ottawa. It's grown into being a large event, one that is multi-partisan. I believe the Prime Minister will be here today, the Leader of the Opposition. The parties will all be represented. So it's come to be an important event in Ottawa. But I think more importantly, it's a time that it needs to be an important event in Ottawa as we see increasing intolerance, disrespect for other people's views. This is one of those events, I think, that can just show us one more time we need to pay attention to what other people believe, give them some space to believe that, and let them practice it.
And how many years have you been coming to this event?
Well, actually, I've come for a while. I was the chair actually from 2006 to 2010. One of our goals when we began was to try to grow the event into a larger national event, and certainly over the years, it has become that. I think Ms. Wagenthal, who's chairing it today, has brought it to new levels, and it'll be interesting to see what the event is.
Excellent. And in terms of anyone watching this clip, in terms of the issues that you've been working on, what would you say is the main thing that people should be praying for today?
Okay, well, we could talk about that for a long time, but I think generally probably the biggest concern I have right now is the increasing intolerance that people seem to have towards others who have different views than they do. And it's not just hateful views, it's just if someone disagrees with me, then I have the right to condemn them. And it's really beginning to curb our capacity for public discourse, being able to talk about public policy, talk about some of the issues that need to be spoken about. As soon as I start name calling you, then typically you don't have to have a discussion with me and I don't have to have one with you. That would be one of the things that I think we need to pray for is a much more generous attitude to other people and what they believe. And then in terms of members of Parliament on Parliament Hill, I always encourage people to pray for the families of the members of Parliament, because as MPs, we get some of the attention, we're doing our job, but often our families in the background, they do need encouragement. We're away a lot,
right?
And so they do need that encouragement.
So the International Christian Embassy Jerusalem, Canada, is the branch of the broader international organization, and what the ICEJ does is stand with and support Israel. We try to teach and equip the global church about Israel and the nations of the Middle East. And we also seek to support reconciliation efforts in the Holy Land in particular. In terms of Canada and Israel's relationship, we're both democracies. We share a lot of values. What do you see as the importance of that relationship? And perhaps just from your experience, what can we be praying about with that relationship?
Well, obviously, it's a relationship that goes back a long time. It's been a very important one for both nations. And there's nothing more important, I think, nowadays than democracies reminding themselves of the rights and responsibilities that they have in the world. And the freedoms that we see consistently on the religious freedom work that I'm doing come out of those countries where they have democratic values, they have respected the value of persons, and we need to protect that because it's not something that seems to be either natural or growing in this world right now.
Mm-hmm. And we see, almost daily, there's major attacks or even small attacks on Christians, Jews, Muslims, people of all faiths. You mentioned earlier the notion of intolerance. What do you feel is the greatest threat to people of faith today?
Well, I think, again, it's that attitude, that hard attitude that people have of whether we're going to be generous to others or if we're going to insist that everyone has to be exactly the same as we are. And I've had the great privilege of working around the world on religious freedom issues, particularly over the last 5 years. The network that I'm part of comes from just a wide background of political thought, of both faith thought, and yet we can get along, we can work towards the principles that are really found in Article 18 of the UN Declaration, which is everyone has the right to believe, everyone has the right to change that belief if they want to, and then everyone has the right to practice it.
Right.
And those are really the principles that in our work on religious freedom that we have been trying to protect and to encourage other nations to develop. So I think democracies such as Canada and Israel are places where that needs to be protected and it needs to thrive if we're going to be able to bring it to others around the world.
Excellent. And could you just briefly touch on what is this network you're referring to?
2014, there were a group of parliamentarians who met in Oxford. We sat down and just decided we really want to encourage parliamentarians to take religious freedom more seriously. So it's called IPPFoRB. We've got an online presence. People can check that out. But it is an international network now of about 300 parliamentarians in close to 80 countries who have made a commitment to those principles of Article 18.
Excellent.
And we just work together. We have some funding from the Norwegian government in particular, other organizations we've partnered with, such as the ASEAN Parliamentarians for Human Rights. And so we've been working on these issues, and we think it's important that more legislators around the world understand the importance of religious freedom, because 4 out of 5 people around this globe still make many of their decisions based on their faith and their perspective on that faith.
Absolutely. Thanks very much.
I'm very happy to be here, and it's we need to remember Yom HaShoah as well today, the Holocaust Remembrance Day, and then certainly it's interesting that both the National Prayer Breakfast and that day would be on the same day, May 2nd, and it's a reminder to us of the importance of protecting these values that we see that are so important.
Truly. Thank you.
Thanks.
Excellent. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Good.
Please share this video, and on YouTube, click the button below to become a subscriber.